Oh fuck, that's just gonna point over there. Okay. Hello. I'm gonna be talking about the second week of Project 2. So basically, I'm not a massive fan of this project. For the simple fact that well, how do I put this? Yeah, there's no practical stuff to do at all. So it kind of sucks, which, looking back on it, this is the first time we've had to do this in the 3 years that I have been at college. So it's a bit weird. This project also isn't very long. It finishes on the 24th of January, which, granted, we have 2 weeks off of yeah, we have 2 weeks after Christmas. However, it's actually closer to 3 when you think about it. But anyway, on the Monday, because the week previous I actually finally worked out what my question is. Well, sort of anyway. So basically, I explained in my last thing, but I'll explain it again just for why not. I'm just going to talk about like the 27 Club mostly. And like why musicians take drugs. So on the Monday, I decided to just jot some names down and just do some very, very basic research. So I just picked some, at current point in time, I just picked 2 names of the 27 Club off the top of my head. So the 2 most famous people I could think of were Kurt Cobain and Amy Winehouse, because I also wanted to pick 2 people that was somewhat, like their stories were somewhat similar, which they were and they weren't. They were similar to an extent. Both had issues with becoming famous. Kurt Cobain's was more psychological, in the sense that he couldn't really handle becoming famous, and it really took a toll on his mental health. And Amy Winehouse's was more pressure from the press. And it was just like, oh yeah, she's famous, she lives in London, we know where she lives, so we're just going to camp outside our house and watch her do stupid shit as she indulges in drugs and other forms of recreational activity. Yeah, so on the Monday I did a bit of research on them. I did some background stuff on Kurt Cobain's childhood, so some stuff on Kurt Cobain's childhood. I did some stuff on Amy Winehouse's later years, because I knew more about Kurt. I knew a decent amount about both, actually. Sean told me to try and do Jim Morrison from The Doors, who died of a heroin overdose. But I didn't want to do that because, yes, I like The Doors, but I was probably going to pick other people, because then then there'd just be 3 where it's just like they all like died of overdoses, and that's something I didn't really want. But yeah, so on the Tuesday, decided to add some more people. I decided to change the narrative a bit. So I did a bunch of research on the press, because it relates to Amy Winehouse. And with Amy Winehouse, the press treated her poorly. As I mentioned, they camped outside her house. They followed her around. They wouldn't leave her alone. I also provided other examples of times when press have invaded people's privacies. I took a prime example of Britney Spears, as paparazzi were notorious for not leaving her alone, which caused her to have multiple mental breakdowns, including her attacking a member of the press and destroying his camera, which, in my personal opinion, I think she had every right to do. But anyway. And there was another time I believe it was either 2006 or 2008. I can't quite remember. I think it was 2008. In which she is seen in a cafe, crying and holding her son, and the paparazzi just lapped it up, as the paparazzi often do, which I think is absolutely deplorable and disgusting. And I went into significant detail about it. See, I think the thing about it is that with this project, the research stuff is easy. I personally think, anyway. I personally think the research stuff is easy for the simple fact that you don't. How do I put it? You don't really have to, like, research stuff's easy. I've done it before. It's just going to be actually writing it that I'm a little bit worried about. But hey, I personally don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Thursday. So, Thursday, Sean mentioned how we had to do some primary research. And I was thinking, well, I can't exactly do a survey because, well, that's what everyone else was doing. I can't exactly do a survey for the simple fact that I'm researching drugs and being pressed from the paparazzi, and I can't really ask the obvious. I can't ask the statements I want to ask because I can't just send a survey out to a classmate saying, have you taken drugs? Have you known someone in your family who has taken drugs? Have they overdosed and died? Have any of your family ever been pressured by the press? Like, you know, I personally feel like these questions are too personal to ask for a survey. That might just be me. So I thought, okay, I don't know what to do then. But Sean, in the previous week, showed one of where a guy had a friend of the family who was a radio host, like a fairly big, like big up, like proper high up. He was one of the three major radio disc jockeys covering like the emerging pop movement. So Sean asked me, do I know anyone in my family who's famous or well off because of music? And I couldn't think. I was just like, duh. And then Luca popped up, the absolute legend, and just simply said, doesn't your aunt know the drummer for Echo and the Bunnymen? Which she does. So I just thought, holy shit, that's a brilliant idea. So I asked my Aunt Helen for the for his phone number to give him an interview. I will talk about that in my next reflective vlog because I'm recording this one a wee bit late, but thankfully I took notes. So, and something I was going to do on the day, but I didn't quite get around to it, was I finally picked who the final other person I was going to talk about was, and that was Syd Barrett, who, for those who don't know, Syd Barrett was the original singer for Pink Floyd. Basically, he sung everything up to Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, he sung everything before Dark Side of the Moon. And he took a lot of LSD, and yeah, in the nicest possible way, it melted his mind. And he went a bit loopy and got put in an insane asylum. And yeah, and then, but yeah, I'm choosing him simply because he got, like, he died. He died in 2006, 2006 or 2011. But yeah, he died of natural causes. But I do want to talk about him because his story is rather impactful, and it sort of brings like a level of uniqueness to it, for the simple fact that he didn't have pressure from the outside, he had internal pressure. So after my research I realized, oh, so he didn't have pressure from the outside, he had more pressure from the inside, because the reason he came up with their first hit single, which was called See Emily or something like that, I personally never listened to it, was simply because he took LSD. So he thought, yeah, I'll take more and the songs will get better, but they weren't. So just like, oh, I've got to take more, more, until eventually, yeah, he became delirious. Anyway, that's week 2. Thank you very much.